Well, hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Galactic Astrology Podcast. My name is Ursula with the Ascension Playground, and I'm joined by the podcast co host, Julia Balaz. As many of us know, Julia is the creator, founder, and visionary of what's called the Quantum Soul Guidance Practitioner's course. It was launched a year ago, and today we are in celebration as another graduate, Michael Richardson, who's actually Zoom calling us from the future in Australia. So, welcome, Julia. Welcome, Michael, and congratulations.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's Saturday already for you, isn't it? Friday for us. We always get
Yes,
excited about
the sun
that.
has just come up.
I love that. From California, Ireland, and to Australia. Clearly, the call has gone out to create this kind of a global family and a network. And it's so exciting now to hear your story, Michael, about how you've taken over 44 years of esoteric wisdom, learning, studying. I mean, when I saw your story about everything you bring together, tarot, traditional astrology, beautiful artwork that involves woodwork, wands, and more, um, Akashic records, and vibrational healing. And so now, today, to celebrate this additional overlighting of galactic astrology that helps support the quantum soul guidance, it'll be fun to see where your past path, like how did you come upon your own spiritual path, one, and then two, we of course love knowing how you found Julia.
Well, thank you. It's hard to know where it began. I mean, I have a recollection as a very young child being in the cot, having a visitation by, I'm not sure what these people were, but I reckon it was a fairly pivotal moment in one sense, but from there it was never really talked about or understood. So my next step would have been, as a teenager, travelling to another city in Australia and being introduced to numerology, which just amazed me. I mean, I can remember even now feeling the energy of what numerology gave me on that night. It was a very quick visit. I think it was only 24 hours, which is a very fast drive, I have to say. But I came back a different person straight away. From there on in, I met another individual who I was asked to go and see, who was the local tarot astrology reader by the name of Ayla. And that was my biggest turning point. Many people that I knew in my workplace had seen her and said they recommended her highly. And she had become a mentor in some of my astrology works and studies, and also even art. She's actually on the wall over there. I still have her. She's passed on now. And it sort of grew from there. And I did a course in astrology, just basics. I met more people that did astrology, and there's a small family in Adelaide grew in that sense. We associated a lot. And then from there, another course, which Ayla sort of was bringing to Australia from the US, from New York. I met Michael Robbins, who just also recently passed on, an amazing astrologer. I did a course with him. That was where the Esoteric Astrology came in. And then I had a bit of time in Sydney and did some tarot and a bit of teaching in astrology and tarot and higher self learning in a place called the Talking Place, which I've now taken their name because they closed their doors. For the location where I actually do readings at home. I call that the Talking Place. In that way, it just grew just slowly. But then I had a time when I didn't do anything for a number of years, over 10 years, and just studied and worked on the woodwork a little bit, but didn't know where I was going to take it. And I pretty much remained in my service-orientated job and realised that the teaching that I'm doing in this job should be more. Only just recently I've decided to bring that back out into the world. There is Julia just waiting for me almost, saying, well, here's the next step for you. I saw her online being interviewed by Melchizedek, and I thought what Akerda had was amazing. And I thought, this is where it's at. And then Julia, I thought, and just seeing Julia's heart on the internet saying, I can just see this person's got it, so I'm going to look into it. And I think within 10 minutes, I decided to sign up. I signed up pretty much outside the local food shop down the road and thought, yeah, it's happening. So I just started going to my phone and saying, this is happening for sure. I then asked my wife if that was okay. She said, yeah, do it. If it makes you happy, do it. And it's been a great experience. I think the Galactic Astrology part of it has really sort of completed the process for me to some degree, because it's never completed, having said that, but it sort of fills the gap that I've been looking for some time, I think. So I'm quite happy to now be certificated, and I'm very honoured, in fact, to be certificated in this particular work that you've done, Julia.
Oh, thank you so much. That means so much to me. I'm curious, what was it like for you to see your galactic astrology alignments? I've noticed you have Sirius conjunct Saturn, so Saturn in Capricorn and in the 9th house opposing Vega, right? So with the Sirian energy conjunct, especially, it is very down to earth, grounded. And I've said it before on my YouTube channel, and I can sense that grounded wisdom and really ancient, old souls wisdom in you. So it's just another beautiful validation of seeing that. Have you been aware of any of these kind of fixed stars, and even your Venus conjuncting galactic center? And there's a lot more there in your path where it indicates that you've been kind of on this path of wisdom, but in service to humanity for a very long time, for many, many lifetimes. How was it for you seeing these alignments?
Yes, it's been interesting to look at those. I mean, I did the course without even looking at my chart, my Galactic chart. I just sort of followed it through. I just want to see what came up. I've just been working with it just recently to sort of look at more into it and seeing what that's about, and even had a reading with Patricia, and that was very good to have. And she's one of the people like me, the practical types. We like practical astrology. And as you said, grounding, it's very much the way it should be, I think. It's about living here with that energy rather than trying to be somewhere else with it, I believe, or be outside of the experience of self, and trying to live it is the game, I think. And as we plug into the Aquarian age, the age of the group, as I refer to it, and as Esoteric Astrology refers to that too, and the age of esoteric science, it's really the science of bringing groups together. And so when I see this Galactic Astrology as being the next understanding, I'm going to say next step, it's next understanding for me, and I can see the galactic center there. It is really bringing that energy into everyday living, allowing that to lift us into a new level of practicality, a new groundedness, and as we connect to the earth, we bring the planet up too, and all the groups come up. And I really am getting this sense that the entire local universe is just going to turn into something rather amazing. And I don't necessarily mean this planet or solar system, but galaxy. And I even think other galaxies are going to link. And I really do feel that this creation that we are creating on this planet, because it is our own creation, because as we think it, we make it happen, is going to reach far and wide, time and place.
That is so beautiful that you bring all this through, and in particular with your South Node, where your soul is coming from, being in Pisces and in the 11th house, which is just so natural for you to tap into collective consciousness. And there's just no limits to how far the consciousness can go and reach, and you're naturally tapping into that. However, the North Node is heading with you more towards playfulness, right? And being in the present moment and kind of rejoicing in the possibilities of what we can do together. How are you doing with the joy and fun and playfulness element in your life with that kind of North Node? How is that going? Because, you know, Sirius being very grounded and serious. How are you doing there with the 5th house? How do you translate that into your life?
I mean, my other teacher, Michael, said I had a very quick mind. It's like I'm shooting from the hip all the time. So I'm a bit of a joker, actually.
Good.
Sometimes
good. I'm glad to hear that.
Sometimes the Pluto conjunct node comes out and sort of people sort of go, what was that? And it actually transforms them right in front of my eyes. So I've got to be careful sometimes. I am a Scorpio. And so it can be a very powerful playfulness in a way. You could say a powerful playfulness. So I've got to be very careful with it.
I love that transformational humor in the moment channeled, you know? Magical. Thank you.
Yeah, I tend to walk away quickly. Yeah. Anyway, that's one thing about it. But certainly I see it also in the creativity side of things, making playful things like this, for instance. It's not very playful, it's very powerful as well. The creativity that I've had, because I've got a BA in visual arts, but it was photography major with a bit of sculpture. Well, the sculpture has gone into devices like that. I call them devices, or things that have popped in through universal spaces and dropped into planet. And I sort of have to translate them into form, and also furniture and boxes as well. A bit of fun. So that's my creativity, where they actually can speak their own statements to people when they're not with me. So here, have one of these. It'll do things for you. That's what I like to do in terms of creativity as well, and to some degree they have a bit of whimsicalness about them as well. I was going to have an exhibition of the boxes, for instance, and the ones and call it found objects from other places around the times, because they operate like found objects, because they also use found materials like recycled wood and sticks and things like that. And that helps ground, I think, that creativity that I have got and ground that spirituality that I have got too. And it helps me a lot, although I struggle sometimes to actually translate what it's trying to tell me when it's downloading, to say, well, I don't know how to do that yet. Can you just wait for me? My hands aren't ready. But I'm getting there in that sense too. And I just need more time, and I'll do so much more of it.
Wow. Well, I'm going to step in and ask you, because we're still talking about your beautiful spiritual path and the playfulness. It's almost like you're like, for lack of a better word, like a Merlin or a grand wizard who is, I don't know, like you're almost hidden in a certain way. And now with the Galactic Astrology and your portal now called Dimensional Soul Astrology, it's like you're coming out and sharing this greater radiance. All of you, all of this amazing knowledge, Sirius with Saturn, it's this keen intelligence, yet by itself, you know, how does it activate? And so this idea of sharing now more of yourself, but I'm still fascinated with Australia and the sacred geography and the the sacred ancestors that are there. Had you been born in another country, it just maybe would have been a different Michael that I'm speaking to. But I think there's something linked with you and your location. Before we get on to the present moment, is there something more that you'd like to say about where you live? And you mentioned Didgeridoo, and excuse me if I'm saying that incorrectly, but how the vibration of the indigenous people also kind of brings forward this healing capacity that you seem to carry so easily in your aura.
It is a sacred object to the indigenous people, the Didgeridoo. So it is not something I hold lightly. It is, and it's not something I say that I'm an expert in. I would certainly say I'm not a great player of it. I'm not brought up with it. You could say I'm learning to play it, and I'm honoured to do that. I did one time in a location on Sydney Harbour where I brought the Didgeridoo down to a place where the Indigenous call in the whales. And after finishing playing on top of this cliff, I started to go back to my car, and strangely enough, two elders walked past. And I thought, am I allowed to do this here? So it is very much an honour to even have one and use it with care and caution. So for me, I'll probably be using it in healing works, but also just playing it in the local area. I've got enough property that I don't wake people up if I do. Not that I've done it yet, but I'm going to. You can guarantee that. Because, yes, I really am coming out, and I'm getting used to the fact that I need to be not so much seeing, but participating in the process in a way that feels right for me. because when you have the heart open to who you are and your connections, and I do believe this is where Hydra comes in my galactic stuff as well, the serpent energy, and certainly that refers to in the readings I've heard that Hydra is very much Asian area, but also any serpent energy, I believe, and the serpent energy is very strong in the indigenous ethos. So I think I'm really connecting with that, and I have been to some sacred sites in South Australia as well as in groups, and it's very powerful just to even be in those spaces, and having my own plot of land I'm allowed to sort of not own but be a part of. You know, we own it in Western society, we don't own it in the Indigenous society. It's an honour to be on the land. I need to use it more for that, and I'm looking for ways for that to occur. So for me right now, just playing drums and the didgeridoo would be very powerful just in that sense. It'd be an earth healing energy. So I'm just still getting there on that one. I've got to make more time. I still have a full-time job, and it's can be difficult sometimes to get the time to do these things. But it is my time. I think it feels that way.
Thank you so much. I just sense this idea of the origin story of the indigenous, along with the galactic, that there's this dovetailing of sorts happening, and you seem to be able to tune into that in a beautiful and profound way. So when you said that you were playing the didge and two elders walked by, can you just tell me, when you say two elders walked by, you're not talking about two older people, correct? Were you talking about etheric beings, or?
The two elder indigenous in 3D form, they were people, and it was rather amazing to see them there. I mean, it's their sacred site. It makes sense, but I was quite surprised that they actually walked past and I was playing the didgeridoo. Did I call them? Did they hear it? I don't know. Yeah. It's interesting.
I'm not sure, was it you, Michael, or someone else in our Facebook community sharing a video of two elders in Australia playing with two didgeridoos that were directed very closely at the chest of a patient inside a hospital, and scans were taken before and after, and there are just ongoing research now validating the powerful sound and vibration of this sacred instrument. So I'm just so excited seeing many more amazing discoveries, and most of all, the science and medicine starting to accept and welcome the traditional ways of being. So Uranus and Taurus, rock on. More of this, please.
Yes. I had a lessons with an Indigenous healer and elder called Jerry, and I made a wand for him as well. And he very much was saying a lot of things like that, where he would actually heal people with just the power of his connection, where they would walk in with the problem and walk out without it. And there was lots of collaboration with that idea. And it wasn't me that found that post online regarding the hospital, but I did notice it, and I just said, well, yeah, that's what happens. It can do that. It's a very powerful energy because it's very much a heart device. It comes from the heart, and when it's channeled in a way, you can see the vortex going down the vacant space of the wood. It really directs a very powerful and intense energy, but it's love filled, so it's good. It's not intense that it becomes a painful thing. It's a very positive thing.
I would just add, for anyone listening, when we talk about a Facebook group, for those of you who decide to join the Quantum Soul Guidance Practitioners course, it's not just material that you read on your own. It's quite extensive material, but there are regular gatherings and meetings and posts in a private Facebook group for these practitioners. And when you become certified, like Michael is, there's another private group so that the certified practitioners can also share best practices or questions. So it really is more communal. And so anyone listening, if you're looking for your soul tribe and you know that you're really not so normal, but what we're sharing feels right, and so working with ancestral wisdom, the earth, energy, the galactic, the practitioner's course offers a great way to meet one another around the world. So, Michael, thank you for those words. And I'm going to now share your current website, which is Dimensional Soul Astrology. Discover your soul's dimensional origin. As I'm trying to bring this up, you want to share something? Did you have this website before the class, or was this created as a result of the practitioner's course?
I have had no website until now. So yes, the course has produced the need, I believe, to put my amazing face out there. Well, it's not amazing at all, but it doesn't matter.
Here you are.
But you know, there it is. There, see.
Wow, really well done.
And so yes, it's very good. I'm actually having chats with one of my clients, and I'm doing some feedback with them, and I'm going to change it again. It's going to be something along the lines of light worker assistance, perhaps. I'm not sure yet, but I'm going to change the way I do the galactic readings. They're not going to be 2.5 hours of slog. It's going to be more like 3 1-hour sessions, because I believe that's a bit more appropriate for people to understand this amazingly large energy system that you get when you have a reading. You just plug into a trillion volts almost, and again, it's very difficult to sort of bring it all together in one 2-hour session. And my acupuncturist was one of the readings I did, and he said, "And how did you go with that, Damien?" He said, "It was like a depth charge," he says. "I'll let you know." And I thought you'd be able to handle that fairly well, but even that was too much for him, I think. So I'm going to change that a bit. And yes, it's going to be astrology, but I think light worker.
I love where you're going with this, and how you're finding your own way through this work, and combining the many tools you have in your box and really making it your own. I always encourage that with all our students.
Yeah,
beautiful.
I mean, the problem I'm having with all this is that, and I know for me, every client I have is my teacher. I might change my website every time I have a reading. It's just crazy, but I don't think I'll do that.
True that.
Well, I had to share your treasure boxes, your woodwork. Look at this. This is where I called you what I think is like a hidden wizard. These are not just wood pieces. These feel like they have a very specific purpose. Look at, is this what you would call a wand down here with the feathers, Michael?
Yes, it's a healing wand. I would refer to it. By the way, Ursula, you're also, so that one there that you just brought up on page, that's the one that Jerry got, and that's his wand. Gorgeous. So he uses that to brush auras. He refers to that and clean them off.
Jerry, the Aboriginal ancestor.
That's correct. Yes.
Oh, look at that! Is gorgeous. What kind of wood is that? That's a piece of red.
That's a piece of red gum with some Oregon pine legs and some jarrah, which is a West Australian wood, a very hard wood on the bottom. Some of these photographs aren't the best. I have to rephotograph some of these. The other one that you showed up the top, I've sold that to my Reiki master, and she uses that to do her goddess finalization of the session. So she brings the goddess out to close the session of Reiki. She loves it. It's about so long. It's quite large, but very light.
Beautiful. Well, and you have a day job as well?
I'm afraid so. Yes, I get very tired, but I do my best, and it's going to change. It's a building process at the moment for me. In due course, I'll have more days here in my counselling area than actually days in the retail world, but I am now. But I'm still a teacher up in the retail world. It's just a matter of what I want to hear. Sometimes I start talking about other things like astrology. You get that?
Well, I just had a chance to look at your Instagram, so you also have an Instagram account, and there was this freshly posted, really beautifully expressed testimonial from one of your clients. My heart was overflowing with gratitude and pride. Really beautifully shared experience. And what I loved, the lady was saying that you didn't only provided her with the information about the galactic astrology and explaining to her what everything meant, but you also provided her with additional tools to help her tune into her own guidance and to start understanding herself from within her own being. So that's the kind of service you get with Michael. Very empowering.
Yeah, and that's where I'm going to expand upon that with the 3-session situation, which you have more of that takeaway material to work on, and I can check your homework and I'll mark it and see how you're going with it, and then we'll go to the next level and that sort of thing. And not actually at school master or anything, but it's a process. I think it's a nice process.
Beautiful. May you be blessed with many wonderful experiences so that you can retire from your everyday job and enjoy more of your time on your beautiful property, playing with the creative inspirations that will continue to come through you in service to humanity.
It's certainly been seen. It's on its way. And thank you for that.
I'm honored.
I mean, I'm already blessed. I'm already seeing clients. I'm already got a Galactic Soul certification. I'm amazingly blessed.
Everything that you've studied and learned for the past, especially 44 years, I'm tracking that number in numerology too, that this galactic program, this quantum soul guidance program, seems to offer the architectural framework for you to be able to share all of your learnings that you want to then bring in service to others forward. And so what I loved hearing at the beginning was, it's time now for me to share and to give and to participate in this more of a global Aquarian network system. And it's almost like when you allow yourself to come forward and put the little shingle out, here I am, even though it's evolving, which is great. It's like the universe and spirit hears you and reciprocates. And so sometimes you think, oh, I have a client session, but that client gives you so much more. Like the energetic charge, the vibrational healing happens when you said yes, and it's electrifying. So as you think about your future now, Michael, any message you want to share as far as to the class or to someone who might be interested in having a session with you?
What can you say about that? It's a journey that we all take, and I can say that with my own journey, it's been rather fun and interesting and enlightening and all those fun words we like to say. But this is the time, I think, where we all need to sort of step up to ourselves, the real self, and remember that the world out there is just part of the process of who we are. What is more important to know, not more important, as important to know, is that in our heart is our real self, and it needs to be expressed, because as the Aquarian age has just begun and is beginning to evolve, it is what we can put out from our heart that creates the world that we want soon. When I mean soon, I mean it's now. It's actually now. So if we can continue to work on who we are and to realize that what we've been through, whether it's good or bad, is just part of who we are, and it's not all of who we are, then we will learn more of who we are very quickly. And in that energy, and I'm probably repeating myself, the world will change, and we will have the world that we really want. Let's not talk about it, let's just do it.
I believe that wholeheartedly. I can feel it. I can smell it. It's really right around the corner.
Yeah.
Just these quantum leaps really bring it on, especially from March onwards. The energies are accelerating, and it's all about adapting and mastering, adapting to ever evolving society, world. And it's all about the everyday micro choices that we make, right? And taking personal responsibility and mastery and balancing everything at the same time. So beautifully said, Michael. Thank you.
But let's not struggle with it. Let's just let it happen. But just be open to it. Because if you struggle towards it, you're just getting a bit stressed out. You just got to let the love flow, let it flow, and just go with the flow.
Great point. From your experience with the Aboriginal culture, do they ever talk about any particular star systems when they refer to the sky and in their mythology, or is it more about the earth, the inner earth? You know?
They just refer to the star people.
Okay.
I think it's fair to say that if they were to talk about it more, for those who would be allowed to release the information, it's still they're very cautious about it because they are still a displaced people. And there's a lot of fighting for their voice at the moment. You may see that in the news. I'm not sure over there, but they're asking for people are asking for the voice in Parliament now, the Aboriginal voice in Parliament. They want to have their voice. But there's the other side of that coin that says it's just a voice. It's just a standing in Parliament, and that's all. But they want more than that. They want their rights, a bit like American Indians or something, their rights to be recognised, and have, so they can be not just looking for handouts all the time, because they're just they've lost their soul to some degree because of the fact that they're pushed aside, but they're losing some of their wisdom. I think it's on outside. I'm not part of it, so I don't really see that. But what we're gathering is that they're losing their soul, and their elders are dying off, and they're losing their culture, but they're fighting back to keep it. And in that sense, they're more out there. And I think the voice in Parliament will be useful, but it needs to be more than that. Otherwise, it's tokenism. So in that sense, they don't mention what star system they have connected to, but I think it's fair to say that most people believe it is the Pleiadian connection. I mean, for me, if I see the origin stories, would have to be Hydra for the serpent energy, but it's also very Lemurian as well, because they live off the land. And they're in harmony with the land. The land is the most important thing, and that's why the land rights was brought forward as well. That, to say that those who have come into this land and taken the land from them and saying it's now ours, they're reminding us it's not yours. We are allowing you to live on it. So please honour the land. Don't destroy it. And they really just want the land to survive. And that's where their spirituality lies. So it's hard to say at this moment in time what is the most important star system on that connection. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing all that. Well, astrologically, certainly the way the alignments are occurring, especially March and then May during the lunar eclipse, I feel the justice bells are ringing already, and so maybe see more of the divine resolutions for their culture and just a whole new life experience for them. Yeah, thank you, Michael.
Yeah, so even sort of talking about it in the podcast, there's going to be people say, "Hang on a second, do you know the whole story?" And I'd say, "Well, I don't know the whole story because I'm not in their culture." So it's really me bringing forward what I feel is right in here. And it's always a bit of a challenge, I think, to sort of be an outsider to their culture and to talk about their culture, because we don't know what their culture is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, great point. And I would
it's always done cautiously.
Yeah, thank you. That's a nice and humble way to point that out. And I would like to invite any viewers who might know the answer to what we asked to feel free to comment and fill out the video.
Absolutely. Yes.
We can all
be educated, that's for sure.
Yeah, if I could just add to that, what came up through the channel Kryon, Kryon, which is Arcturian energy, it was this connection of the star mothers from the Pleiades. But there's this big thing around Uluru, as a time capsule was left behind, and some of the star mothers left and stayed behind to seed humanity. So it's a very ancient galactic point on the globe. Here in the United States, we have the Native American Indian, but so it's interesting, right? Like, and why the timing of it with the ley lines. So I don't know, but to this idea that some volunteered to stay behind and support humans and may still be here. It's very close to what's happening with Mount Shasta and Telos and the Lemurian connection. So it's fascinating, right? So I'm glad you asked that, Julia. And maybe some of this will make it into the video as a call for tell us more what you've heard.
There's a lot to learn in that situation of the ancient connection, and what don't we know about that? What do we need to know about that? How can we participate in that? Because to some degree we're led by our heart, but if we know more, if the cultures can sort of let us in to some degree, that'd be great. But it's all about permissions. It's about, they have to know that they feel like it's the right thing to do, because they haven't been looked after very well by others, and so they're very protective of their culture, and it's understandable.
Perhaps our curiosity.
I haven't been to.
Perhaps our curiosity, and as we start engaging in these conversations, that's when the answers start coming in. So
that's right. Yes.
And there's certain points where only females are allowed to go, so that the male wasn't allowed. So it's this interesting dynamic too of why was that? Like the star mothers, and only feminine energy was allowed. And I think Regina Meredith is tracking some of this as well on Gaia TV.
Yep.
Thank you both. And any final words as far as the sending off? Because I feel what's happening, my final words would be that, Michael, oh, it's so wonderful to see you and to resonate with you. And it feels like you've made a huge pivot from learning, absorbing, delighting, to now sharing and participating. And it is a big pivot because, the constant seeking that I've been on as well and discovering, you're right, it's time now to kind of own it and to be it, and sharing the joy and the beauty of us creating our own beautiful worlds. Such a
congratulations.
Thank you. Well, thank you both. It's been an honor to have a chat to you as well. I mean, I see you on video. It's just like, one day we'll meet. One day, the whole group will be there.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Blessings.
Thank you very much.
Until next time. Bye for now.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye bye.